Ladies and gentlemen, the goose is loose. Welcome back to the stream. And we find ourselves on the last day before launch of streaming, but also my last day on Last Epoch before the launch of 1.0. Because once this goes live, the servers come down tomorrow, I think. And so tomorrow will be downtime. Wednesday we're live into 1.0, so this is going to be my last bit of pre 1.0 prep, and I've got a few things on the checklist I'd like to do tonight. We left off at the end of Friday's stream, level 75. We tried the zombie dragon at the end of the Reign of Dragons monolith and got crushed, and then we ended up here in the arena where we tried the level 90 arena and we got through to the boss. But we got one shot by the boss, pretty much. The poison that we stood in finished us off. So I'd like to do a couple of things tonight. I'd like to have another crack at that zombie dragon. I've tried him a couple of times since, and it's not easy. Even with good necrotic resist, which we've got. You know, our necrotic resist is way over capped, but that dragon hits hard. We've made a couple of extra levels. We finished at 75 at the end of last week. We're now 77, which means that we've capped all our skills apart from Ring of Shields. I played around with Ring of Shields a little bit and changed its spec, but it's very, very nearly back up to level 20. Should happen during the arena. And that's what we're going to start with. So I'd like to run that level 90 arena again because I want a few more levels before we try the dragon. I've done a bit more of that monolith, which is where I got my 2 extra levels from, and we were completely capped on stability, and then I did 3 or 4 dragon attempts and we've lost a bit of stability since then, but we've got so much stability in that monolith that we can run that dragon quite a bit, and I thought I'd save it and we'd try again to do it on stream, but it would be useful to have another level or 2 before we do. But the other thing is, you know, we're not going to get a lot further. We might get a couple of levels. We might get through the Reign of Dragons monolith. But we're at 20 in all of our points. We're not going to make loads of levels. We're not going to get loads of passive points. So what else can we do that we haven't done before 1.0 hits? And the other thing I'd like to do is a couple of the dungeons. So we've done one of the dungeons. Did we do... So we've got Lightless Arbor and Temporal Sanctum, which we haven't done, which are the dungeons that let us craft legendary items, which we might have a quick look before we do that and see if there's something worth crafting. And we also did, and the other one is the gold gambling dungeon, where at the end we pour gold into random box choices and we get a treasure loot pop out thing, and I want to see how that works. We did the gambling dungeon. That was Soulfire Bastion. So I'd like to see the mechanics of all of those before we roll into 1.0. I don't think there's anticipated to be any major changes to the way they work. So tonight we're going to run a bit of arena to try and... I don't think even a level 90 arena is going to see us to 78, but it'll get us up a bit. We're going to have to run the 2 dungeons at level 45, 50, whatever the first version is, to unlock the later versions. So touch wood, they shouldn't be too challenging, but they're also not going to gain us any levels. And once we've done those, then we'll come back and see whether we do a bit more arena, whether we do some monolith, or whatever. But I've not warmed up. I've barely played since we last played. I've done a few monolith echo runs here and there. I haven't had a decent sit down and play time since. I've just sort of done 1 or 2 monoliths and then gone off and done something else. 1 or 2 monoliths when I'm having a quick break between bits of work or whatever. So I haven't sat down and had a concentrated bout of play for quite a while, so I'm going to be rusty. And so I thought, to knock that rust off, we'll jump straight into the level 90 arena. And I'm not convinced we'll get as far as we did last time, because last time we'd just been doing a 2-hour stream and I was sort of clicking with the build as much as I ever could be. Tonight I am very much out of practice. So other than the fact that I've summoned my manifest armor already, which is my first mistake typically, I'm not particularly prepped for this. You know, even my buttons and stuff are not completely memorized. But we've gained another 2 levels from when we last did this, so maybe, just maybe, that survivability will help. And we certainly have gained a chunk of armor. I noticed that we now hit 75% fizz res on our armor, which I think might be armor cap. And I'll double check that somewhere, because if it is armor cap, that has significant knock-on implications for our build. Because we're hitting that just by getting healed with the shields and throwing down a forge strike. Which means that if we're getting hit as well, we are hugely overcapping our armor potentially, which might mean that we want to spec out of quite so many sources of armor that we've put in here and into some other stuff. Right, let's find... Oh, there we go. Specking Forge Strike so that I can cast it wherever the heck I like is one of the very best things I ever did for this build. There we go, so that's our first 5 done. We're warming up, we're warming up. That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, tell you what we're missing is we are missing the chat overlay. Let's get that up. Not that I think we've got anyone in chat just yet, but if we have, I'm missing their messages. So, right, chat overlay is up. Let's try a few harder waves than that. So the build is definitely still ticking. The one thing that I probably should have done, and we haven't really got time to do now, was to come up with at least a vague plan for an interim build. So I could do with coming up with what skills we're going to use, because other than Rive, none of the skills that we're currently using are available until after we spec into Forge Master or Forge Guard, which means that until level sort of 35-ish maybe, we're not going to have access to many of these skills. Whoop. Now when we leveled it initially a week or so ago, we used what did we use? Ha ha! Javier, my friend, thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated. I'm missing a wave of enemies somewhere. All follows appreciated. We're closing in on halfway to 50. There's something got stuck somewhere. Ah, there he is. Yeah, all follows massively appreciated. Thank you very much, mate. I'm aiming for 50 because then we can do some other cool community stuff, get some cool emotes going and stuff when we hit 50, and some VIP memberships. And I think we're 23 now out of 50, something like that. So that is fantastic. I hope you are well tonight, buddy. I imagine that you are particularly otherwise occupied at this time of night. Good to know the audio's working. Thank you very much. I've had at least one stream with no audio on it, and many people sat and watched quite a lot of it. I was very pleased with their tolerance, but nobody bothered mentioning that they couldn't hear me until right at the end, and I could have fixed that quite quickly. So good that the audio's coming through. So we're doing arena now, Javi. We're doing... This is a level 90 arena, which I'm doing at level 77, which is not the easiest, but we did get to the end of it at level 75 on the last stream, but the boss just absolutely one-shotted us. I'm going to try again and see if we can get a bit further. So you do 35 waves of mobs. Every 10 waves, as we'll see now, you attempt a harder one and you get a modifier. And you can choose better items dropped by the final boss, but you get increased damage and health, or you can choose not so good items but less increase in damage and health. The damage and health will always scale, so if we take this lower one next time, we're still going to be at plus 100% increased damage and health. They're going to be twice the health, twice the damage, and they're already 13 levels higher than us, but we're going to give it a go. I'm going to take the same path as I did last time, which is we'll take whatever the lowest bonuses to enemies are all the way through, so we've at least got a shot at beating the arena boss. So we now move to a different arena and we do 2 waves of 10 here, and the trick with this arena is often not to stand right in the middle because it spawns fire stuff which can one-shot me all on its own, although it helps if we are near the enemies to actually do some damage. Right, swords, go and kill that. Yeah, there we go, fire spawning in the middle there. But even at this level, the clear speed on this is not bad. We've definitely got the damage, it's the survivability. I think we're almost completely resistance capped. Our armour is fantastic, and it's compensating a little bit. If we could get utterly resistance capped, we would be kicking. But once you hit content like this, you're still going to have to learn to play it and not just stand in everything, which adds slightly to the challenge. But when they line up like this in big packs, we just click a button and they all die, which is awesome fun. They've actually killed my Forge Guard, my Manifest Armour. How dare they? Right, well he can go and stand in the fire and fight those ones, because I'm not particularly interested. There we go. Right, 15 waves completed, so we'll do another 5 waves here before we get another modifier, and a third arena. Let's go! There is something simple and mindless about this. I think it's probably the process of the end game as it is, but this particular build, which I've now played for long enough that a lot of it is just very autonomous, it just feels fun to click on stuff and watch the bars melt. Like he's got his beam on me, I'm not dodging it, but there just doesn't seem to be much point in doing so, because every time he hits me my armour stacks, and that's helping me get through. Right, apparently they've seen something up there. Here we go. Let's spawn some more swords. What are we up to? Oh, we're capped on swords at 12 out of 12. Let's get everything attacking this, because then it will just disappear. I've not even been looking for the shrines, and I should have been, because if we've got any XP shrines, they're probably our only shot at... what's this? That's... move and cast speed is pretty good. The XP shrines are going to be our only chance of getting level 78 through this, I think. Right, so wave 20 is complete. We've finished Ring of Shields finally, so I'm going to put that point there. So all of my skills are now capped. Ooh, Parthenax, thank you for joining in, and thank you for that. I can't really see on my second stream how that's going. It was all looking good and the numbers were all looking good when I started the stream. However, I have noticed the server is a bit jittery today. I've been having some issues. A couple of things don't click through for me. I'm getting a little bit of rubber banding and movement. I don't know whether that's just the servers jittering before we switch to the new ones for 1.0, but I've seen somebody else streaming today and somebody said that they were having some slight issues. So It's not something I've had an issue with on any of the prior streams. I don't know whether it's actually a Last Epoch issue today in particular, or whether it's an audio artifact which I've got at the moment. I don't know. Hopefully it'll settle itself down. But either way, thanks for joining in. Are you playing Last Epoch at the moment? Are you interested? Are you about to watch me die in the next 30 waves? Probably. We'll definitely take 30 and 50 over 70 and 90. And we'll go to our third and almost final arena. Right, let's see if we can find ourselves an XP shrine. Not that one. Wow, okay, suddenly we're taking damage. And in fact, even our manifest armour has taken a pretty big chunk there. See, the last time we played this I was really focusing and it was really tricky. Those extra 2 levels and the extra levels in the skills have made enough of a difference that I've got cocky again and I'm just chilling on stream, watching stuff and generally killing things. But then every now and again this game reminds you that it is pretty lethal. Oh god, it's really jittering in game now. Well, there's my XP on Kill Shrine. A lot of my abilities aren't going off because I click them, nothing happens. Some of them are channeled abilities. I click them, nothing happens. I let go of the button and then they proc for half a second. So I do think we might have some server side issues, which I was noticing earlier. There we go. My ping when I logged on was one of the best pings I've ever had, but it does seem to be something that Last Epoch is struggling with a little bit today. Whether that's just random anticipation or whether they've pulled a bit of server capacity and prep for launch, you know, just as people are ramping up, I don't know. So the 140 out of 140 ball, hey, good to see you, Martin. The 140 out of 140 ball, that's my mana. So that's for casting my abilities. So if I summon my guy, that costs me a chunk. If I cast my spells, that costs me a chunk. The red ball is my health. My armour is in here. So my armour is currently 4,200, 4,800 when the shields heal me. And if they heal me and I slap the ground, it goes up to 5,400. Which earlier was capping out at 75%, but now isn't. So that's interesting. So yeah, that's my mana. And early in the build we were having big issues. We've been able to cast all our spells without being mana starved, but we've fixed that through our gear and through some levelling. So the next waves, we've got one more wave here, and if we can finish this we're into the final arena, which is always a very small circular arena. Oh god, we are going to die. Where we face lots and lots of waves coming extremely close together. It's really deadly. And then the boss spawns in at the end of the next 5 waves. And he last time was extremely nasty, although I did stand in his goo. If I can avoid standing in the goo, that will make a big difference to my survivability. But first we've got to get there, and just surviving the last wave was difficult because all the bonuses they get each round are cumulative. So this wave of 5 is harder than the last one. And the next wave will be harder again, but we'll also gain some significant stat increases on top. And we'll have a look at what our total stat increases are by the end of all this. Right, let's go down here. Hey, so that's 30 waves complete. So if we continue, we get 2 choices. One is the arena key, which is always the easy choice, and it gives you 40% damage and 40% enemy health. Or you can take Arena Champion drops a unique item, which was the same last time, and you get 180% increased damage and health. That one is going to kill me. At this level, I'm still 13 levels under where these enemies are. That's going to kill me. So good to see everyone in chat. This early on to have this many people in chat is amazing. So everybody, thank you very much for turning up. And it's good to see you, mate. I would suggest that we get together and have a game or something, but I do that a lot, and you know, so far we've failed on that. But it's good to see you along for the ride. I'm going to take this one, which will take us up to 170% total increased damage, which isn't nice, nearly triple damage, and they'll be on 190% increased health. So this next round is the tricky one. This is the one that I didn't survive last time. And we need a couple of things actually when we come in here. We need to resummon our Manifest Armour because he's nearly dead already. I need to immediately summon my shields, and I need to watch for these guys. And we don't get a break this time between this wave and when the boss arrives. We just get a warning and the boss is on us, and he's already summoning pools of hideous stuff. So we got through these waves last time just, but we lost when the boss appeared. So I'll be happy if we can get to the boss again, but I'd like to do some damage to him because last time we did not. We failed miserably. Right, do not stand in that big fiery ball of death. No, thank you, love, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Right, let's get stuff on there, and then we'll come out of there, and we'll try and live. Whoop, another big fiery ball of death. So we're using our travel ability not to charge in and do damage as we normally do. We're using it to get out of dodge and try and stop ourselves getting completely slapped. Right, everything attack that, please. Let's get that dead. Whoa, get out of there. And I'm dead. So what do we die to? An Avaline Chimera. Necrotic damage. We die to necrotic a lot at the moment, despite the fact it's one of our highest resists. So there we go. I'll call in your order, mate. Yeah, well, the armor stat is hiding away on the character page, so I have to call that up. But yes, the armor is probably hiding away behind my ugly old face, as is a number of other interesting things like how effective my shield is at blocking and my melee attack speed. But you don't want to see that stats; it's boring-ish. So we've nearly hit 78. It's one of our objectives is to make at least one more level for the stream. But what I would also like to do, we got a few interesting looking items there, although I'm not particularly interested in a quiver for this build. Let's try these other couple of dungeons. This is famous last words, but these should not be challenging because we're going to have to do them at very low level to start with because we haven't unlocked the additional versions of them. So the first one we're going to do is Lightless Arbor. I think this is the one where at the end when you get there you can pay money to choose a whole load of chests, and we've got about 600k, so we'll play around with it, and that will spawn sort of treasure chests for us, which will be interesting. So we're going to try the Lightless Arbor. Let's just have a quick look at these in case I want to keep any of them. That's got a worse crit strike multiplier, bonus melee damage, which is tier 2, crit strike chance I don't like, not fussed by that at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shatter that to get the runes out of it to craft other stuff, but I'm not going to keep it. Health and health regen, 17% health is quite nice. Like both of those. Don't really like any of that, so we'll sell that belt. Yeah, I don't want to talk to you. We'll buy these. And we'll put this unique item away for later. That is a good question. How many hours to get to this level? Not too many, actually. I mean, probably more than I should have. I started this character just over a week ago. I started streaming Friday before last, and we started with creating this character, giving him a name, starting at level 1, everything. And I've only really leveled him on stream. So I think we're on about 12 or 13 hours to get him to this stage. And it's been a bit clumsy. I'm leveling this exact character again. So the game goes into its full launch, into 1.0, on Wednesday. And what I'm doing here is just prep, because I'm going to start in the new cycle, which means that for that cycle sort of league, all sort of stats, gold, money, collectibles, everything will be wiped. I can keep this character if I want. I will still have access to it, but on a different server. So I'm going to start a new one in the new cycle, And to do that, I wanted to see what worked. I wanted to make my own build, my own plan. And this is what I came up with. And we've just been testing it. And a lot of the time, we've got to places and found that skills didn't work. So we've taken them off and we've respec'd them. So I've got 5 skills. And each of those 5 skills, I've got a full skill tree for each one. And I've been playing around. You know, at one point we had 8 shields circling round us, but they didn't really do very much other than circle round us. Then we had them being on fire and shattering and doing damage, but they weren't doing a lot of that. Now we've got them healing quite a bit, and that seems to work a bit more effectively. We've got this big manifest armor suit, and we've spec'd him to have lots of bonuses from our armor instead of having attacks of his own. But he seems to scale quite well. We've got this shield rush, and we've got this spinny round rive attack, which pulls everything in and then does not a guaranteed crit on it and kills it. So I think now we know where the skills are going and everything else. I think we'll probably get back to this stage in about 10-11 hours maybe of pretty casual play. Healing is always good. I played before this a paladin, so this is a forge guard in the sentinel tree. You can either specialise once you've finished your sentinel tree or got to level 20. You can specialise as a forge guard, which does fiery damage, as a void knight, which does void type damage, or as a paladin, which does a lot of self-healing. And the paladin, I think, is going to be pretty sexy in the new edition, because not only does it do a lot of automatic self-healing, you don't have to cast healing spells, it just heals based on blocking and casting things, but it's got this skill Healing Hands that at the moment, because we're still in the sort of beta stage, Healing Hands does not have a skill tree. Unlike all of these that I can click on and get to a skill tree, Healing Hands doesn't have one. But they've just launched the skill tree for Healing Hands, and you can spec it to do even more healing, or healing and damage, or a number of different things, and it looks pretty cool. I am a chunk of the way off, thank you, Javier. There will not be any subscriptions on this channel, I suspect, for a little while. I think we're 22, 23 followers now. I need at least 50 to make affiliate, so we're almost halfway there. At which point, you know, we can put subs up and all sorts of stuff if we want to. But for now, it's we're just going for fun. The thing I'm more excited about getting to the number of followers we need to get affiliate is the fact that I can do more custom emotes and VIP statuses and fun things like that, and sort of build the community rather than particularly worrying about subs and things. But yeah. But yeah, if anyone is watching and isn't following and would like to follow, do feel free, because you know it helps build the community up, and it lets me do some funky stuff. At the moment, we're a little bit limited in terms of affiliate. I think I've already got the hours streamed. After tonight's stream, I'll only need to do one more this month. The other thing that I need is both followers and active viewers. It needs to be an average of 3 per stream. Well, at the moment, we've got like 2 or 3 people in already, which is fantastic. We've got a really strong stream start already, and that will really help boost that number. That's the only one that's below the affiliate standard at the moment. So yeah, it's just the followers. That's all we need. But I'm not pimping for followers. I'm pimping for people who love Last Epoch and want to play it, because I'm hooked. And I'm hooked to the point where I just want to play this game. Now we'll see if this works, because this was one of the things that I was finding glitchy earlier, which has never glitched for me before. You should be able to right click on these keys and it should open up in the map. Here we are, where the dungeon is. So I've never done Lightless Arbor, you can see that, because I don't even have the waypoint for Lightless Arbor. So we're going to move to the surface, and then we're going to head to the Shrouded Ridge, Lightless Arbor, get the waypoint activated, and we're going to try this dungeon. And each of the dungeons has its own unique mechanic, and we've only done one of them so far. I know that the one where you craft your own legendaries, the mechanic in there is sort of time travel, so you can phase in and out of different timelines to avoid attacks, which sounds both complicated and really, really cool. I've no idea what the mechanic in this dungeon is. I do know that the mechanic in the last one we did, you had a shield on, and every time you killed stuff you gathered these souls, and every time you wanted to you could switch your shield between fire and void, or fire and necrotic, one of those two. And there would be things under the floor that would do different types of damage at different times, and mobs would do different types of damage, and you had to gather enough souls that you could switch sort of freely between those two shields. And even at low levels, I nearly died once, and I watched a friend of mine, a guy who joined the stream a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago, I watched him do it the night I did it just after, and he did die to the fire. Lower level than I was, but it does a huge amount of damage. So those little mechanics are also really, really cool. So from here we need to be going, I think, to that door. Now this zone is level 17, so it should not be possible to die to anything in here, and in fact we can run through it with our shield attack and kill stuff, which is hilarious. Right, Shrouded Ridge, and at the north of the Shrouded Ridge should be Lightless Arbour. Might be this way, we'll find out. To be fair, having mentioned followers and so on, I think everyone I've seen in the channel thus far today, certainly Tin Mass and you, Mr. Carjack, are already followers, thank you very much, and have been for a little while, or new today. So I appreciate each and every one of you. It's always that funny thing, trying to initially get followers. But I've been enjoying this so much, and what I've really liked is, even with relatively small viewer numbers, there seems to be a real community around Last Epoch already, either people who are playing it and love it, or people who are really interested in it, whether they've seen it before or not. I've had people log into the stream, here we are, Lightless Arbour. But I've had people log into the stream and have never heard of the game, and we talk about the game for a bit. I've had people log in who've just started playing or are interested in picking it up in time for launch on Wednesday, and we talk about it a little bit and how it's going. I've had people who've got 10 times the hours I've got in here who've taught me loads about how the game works. But the thing that everyone seems to have in common is that everyone really, really likes the game. Even in its current stage, this isn't the launch version of the game, and it's pretty flawless. You know, there are some things that need adding, there are some things that need a bit of tweaking, but it's in a very good state already. Both of you follow and support me in real life. The pair of you are my rocks. I stand by you, my friends. So we've got our dungeon door here. Let's find out how this works. We click on the door, we put the key in, we attempt the dungeon. Now, oh, that's interesting. You can do this one as low as level 20. We can do it at tier 65, and there's no way I'm not going to do it at tier 65. That would be chicken. So level 20 is just normal. Level 2 is 30% increased damage and enemy health, and the dungeon boss drops additional exalted weapons. Yes, please. Also, I think the quality of loot and the type of gambling you can do is scaled at the end of the dungeon based on the level you started at. But I think we might need to finish this level 65 in order to unlock this level 88 version, and then that we need to finish the 88 to unlock the level 400. So we're going to do a level 65, and let's see what the mechanic is. I did bind my dungeon mechanic button. Search for the last titan. I will indeed search for the last titan. So here we go, we're going into the Last Arbour. Nothing in here at the moment. Oh right, temporal shift gained whilst inside Julra's Sanctum. Okay, so this might be the legendary weapon dungeon. I might have got these the wrong way around, which would be interesting. I think Julra is the legendary weapon boss, but I'm not sure. But I get temporal shift whilst fighting the final boss. So no mechanic in the dungeon particularly, we're just killing our way to find the last titan. But the boss has certain attacks that are automatic one-shot kills, regardless of your health and all your other modifiers. And the only way to survive them is to hit temporal shift and change into a different time period to dodge the attack, which is the coolest sounding mechanic, but it's the one that has made me the most nervous throughout the idea of doing this, because I am not a good one at spotting telegraphed attacks and hitting the right button at the right time. And when it's an attack that you can't over level, you can't just put more armour on and more everything else and get away with it, that makes me slightly nervous. Right, you lot kill everything. Who's this dude? Hello. Oh, no, right, okay. I'm not going to risk that. He's huge. Right, that can die first. Tell me your story. God, these are voiced cutscenes in here as well. Are you the same Spriggan as before? Which Spriggan was there before?
I merely transferred my spirit to another tree. Any Spriggan can do it. Though there are fewer trees than when I was last awake. Far fewer. What happened to the world?
Ah, that's interesting. I wonder if it is only outputting at 1440. It will be default outputting at 1440 because that's the resolution that I'm running it at. But typically Twitch downscales that for you and gives you the options for sort of the lower qualities rather than just the source. But it might be my Twitch settings. It might be that I've not enabled my Twitch settings properly. Oh, right. We should stop the mountain beneath before any more humans die. Yeah, we don't want humans dying. Humans are the best. Right. Let's go and kick some monster backside. So the dungeon itself, unsurprisingly, is not particularly tricky because we've out-leveled it by over 10 levels. And we've got a build that is not the greatest build in the world, but it works, and therefore we can be pretty confident with it. But the boss fight... See, Julra, who is the boss in here, is a name I hear a lot, and I have heard associated with things like world races, you know, first to beat level 100 Julra. So it's obviously a tricky fight, and it's a tricky fight with one-shot mechanics. So we're going to see. I've got a couple of keys for this place, so if we fail immediately, and if I'm not just dilly-dallying and messing around, then it won't take us long to get back there, hopefully. Although I have no idea which way I'm going. I've no idea if this is a set dungeon or if it's procedurally generated. So maybe in the future I know exactly which way to go. I have a sneaking suspicion, if my ARPG knowledge is anything to go by, we're going slightly the wrong way and we should be going top left, but that might just be... Mind you, it does look a bit like that, doesn't it? Let's do that. I tend to get a feeling for maps, and I think this one was expanding top left. Do 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 do. See, this shield wall, the shield charge thing is brilliant because as long as you don't hit a wall on the way, you just charge through everything for the whole map. It's really quite useful. And it does a semi-decent amount of damage. No, that's not the place. Here we go, up here. But this is blocked as well, isn't it? Yep, it's not there. Ah, we can go around here. There are times when I do miss Grim Dawn where I know exactly where the map goes. Well, there's lots of times when I miss Grim Dawn because Grim Dawn is an excellent game, and I recommend anyone who has not tried it and is a fan of this genre of game to play Grim Dawn, which is pretty much what I was playing before I decided to come back to Last Epoch. And I enjoy both equally. They both bring quite different things. Ah, right, here we go, we've got a marker now. So here's a door. Oh, I see, so it's got a bit of a roguelike quality to it. We've got a new modifier if we go through this door. Enemies will drop slightly more exalted relics, which is nice, but they gain 20% damage and health. It's a trade-off I'll take. So I don't know how many of those doors we're going to hit before we find Julra. But we are presumably about to find out. I also don't know if those modifiers will apply to Julra. If this is similar to other dungeons, I think what I could have done there is decided... Oh, I see, we need to kill this. I think I could have decided to go through a different door. Oh, light the kindling to get through. It's slowly going up. Nice. I think if we'd chosen to go through a different door, we could have taken different modifiers into the next bit of the dungeon. So you aren't forced down a path, you can make your choice. So where are we now? We're still searching for the last Titan. So we just run around the map looking for some kind of quest marker. Yeah, they've definitely got more HP than they had before. That is noticeable. Gonna have to start actually playing now. As long as I don't start noticing the additional damage too badly, we'll be fine. But, note to self, no longer stand in goo. Or, you know, screeching or whatever that was that just destroyed my health. I've got my fingers crossed that later on I can fight the server issues and play a little bit of Helldivers 2, which I've also been hugely enjoying, and has been slightly responsible for the fact that I've not been playing much Last Epoch between Last Epoch streams. But of an evening, the servers are still pretty tricky to get onto at the moment because it's unbelievably popular, and more popular, I think, than the devs ever anticipated. And rightly so. It is a very, very good fun time. Ooh, don't die here. But I heard a rumour that there is at least a PC patch tomorrow to try and address some of the server issues. I suspect the PS5 patch will be a few days away because we'll be waiting on the Sony approvals and stuff. Okay, take a few shards. Let's see just how far we can run with this. Not far enough. Whilst I don't think it's universally true that just going further up the screen is always the best way, when you start at the bottom of the screen, you can be relatively confident. Just go far away from where you were at the beginning and you should find something interesting. Ooh, you've got a nice ring of doom around you. Go for that. See, this is interesting as a dungeon because it's not level appropriate for me at all. I mean, we're not gaining any XP in here, I suspect. We might be gaining a tiny bit. I don't know what the cutoff is, but we will not be gaining much. But still, it's... yeah, I think we are going the wrong way now. It's still not a complete walkover. Like, I'm having to pay a little bit of attention, which does not suit the way that I stream. Because I'm very, very good at talking. Anyone who knows me knows this. But I'm not particularly good at talking and paying attention to what I'm doing. Not when it involves dodging significant amounts of stuff. Right, top right this time, I reckon. We hit a wall. Well, I'm definitely interested. If we can beat Julra, even if it's sort of... ah, here we go, we found a door. Even if it's second difficulty Julra, I'll be pretty pleased. Right, dungeon boss drops extra glyphs. Enemies are going to get 25% health and damage. Yeah, that's fine. In the last stream, we beat the Shade of Oribus, which was pretty cool. Oh, now this is the same Spriggan as before. Oh, human. We are nearly there. Oh, what must you tell me, lost Spriggan?
You must stop the mountain beneath, no matter what. Even if you must take your torch and burn this entire forest to ash.
So I might have to burn the entire forest to ash. Why do you care about the humans so much?
I was grown by a Terra herself, in the temple that was once down here. Unlike the mad, rotted Spriggans of this time, or the selfish, wild-born ones of the past, her will forms my very roots.
I keep meaning to check past streams as to whether I need to read these out if I'm going to read them, or whether the game audio is loud enough for it to come through.
I will protect humans, even if it is only by guiding you.
Because expecting people to log into a stream and read is just rude. Okay, so we're nearly there. You said some things. We have to protect some humans. Ah, and there's a door. Oh, here we go. Right, this is the boss. After the votes are complete, those who choose to proceed will enter Titan's Rest. If we're definitely going in Titan's Rest, I just need to remind myself which button is my move through time button. Right, so we've got a stack of 84 things down here. So illumination. While your burning amber is attached to you, it loses illumination. When you're hit, reducing the radius at which enemies illuminate. The illumination loss depends on the damage dealt as a percentage of your maximum health. Illumination can be restored by slaying an amber elemental. Enemies outside the amber's loss. I haven't been paying attention. I wonder if that's been on the whole time, and I could have been using illumination to see more in the dark. I don't know, but we did okay. Right, let's see what Julra is like. Shields up. Okay, Julra's big. Julra's definitely large. Right, you're attacking these trees. Okay, I will follow your lead. Oh, don't go there. Okay, so mechanically, we're learning. We're not learning quickly enough. Kill all the stuffs. Okay, right. We've crushed this corner. Is there a thing in here we need to kill? Or is that it? No. Oh, we're right. We can now hit Julra, can we? Right. No. Oh, right. We're kindling this fire. Right. Put shields on. Put shields on. This seems to be relatively straightforward at the moment in the level 65 version because I'm over leveled for it. But I'm not giving myself any credit for this. This is just power leveling a thing. So the root wall is dead. So we want to set fire to stuff. I'm going to just take the hits on the face, which might be a really stupid idea, but I want to kindle this thing quickly and see what happens. Do we get a new phase of Julra when this is kindled? Also, does the illumination make a difference now? Oh, there we go. All we had to do was kindle both of those. Oh no, this is the heart of the Titan. Right, we haven't finished the fight at all. Whoop. Wow, that did damage. Shit. This is great. I love this game. Where am I going? Right, they go in that way. I can't see what I'm doing over here. I don't want to do that. Stop going over there. Oh my god. Right, that was because I tried to attack and it just kept rotating around with the attack button held. And I was already hitting, so I wasn't clicking a move button, but it was doing a move to attack and walked me into the goo. So, oh, right, I thought we'd lost the dungeon. Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We've lost the dungeon. Wow, so we failed the level 65. So he was a big boy, but he wasn't dangerous. His heart was dangerous. It's the most powerful organ. It's true, gentlemen. The heart is the most powerful muscle. It was a literal heart attack. And it attacked me hard in the face. So we've experienced that dungeon. I'm not sure it was an experience I savoured as much as I wanted to, but it was quite good fun. So where do we go now? We've got quite a lot of cool stuff. Mana regen, throwing damage. No. Lightning resist. No. I think actually I'm going to recycle that. I don't want it. Intelligence, no. Physical resist, definitely not, but I will take the shattered stuff. I'm just going to sell that one. Physical damage, elemental damage, not as good as the one I've got, but worth keeping for shards. And this one is actually pretty good. If it had better... Ooh! Cooldown recovery and 2 to all attributes is great. There's not good enough forging potential on that, I don't think, to make it into something worth keeping. And I don't care about crit strike chance particularly on this build. I'm getting slightly quicker at evaluating items, which probably makes it less interesting on stream, but then it's also not interesting to watch me hover over something for 10 minutes, not able to make my mind up as to whether I want it or not. So I'm trying to strike a balance. Don't want to drag you around. You might notice my my cursor is very different to what it was in the last stream. I followed Aaron Action RPG's advice in how to change your cursor, and it makes a big difference. I was losing my cursor a lot in the fights. I think the cursor's quite pretty in this, but it blends in with the art style of Last Epoch. And in an action RPG, if you can't work out exactly where you're aiming and casting, you put yourself at a big disadvantage. And I occasionally ended up charging in the wrong direction or charging into an area attack instead of out of it.
Yes.
So I've made this giant one, and I've done it in sort of Farthest Goose Channel red colour, but also Forge Guard red for the moment, because that is what we're going to be playing for quite a while to come. I would like to get my Forge Guard up to level 100 once the season launches, which is going to be, I mean, level 100 will be at least 20 hours, I'd have thought, which will be probably 7 streams. So it might be a month of streaming to get us there, depending on how much I play in between streams and how many extra streams I sort of choose to squeeze in there. Okay, I think we go back to the traditional end game. We're so close now to hitting 78. Let's do a couple of things. Let's go back to the end of time and go to Reign of Dragons Monolith. So this is the normal end game stuff we have been doing. We need to beat this boss, because I also want to know, if we beat this boss, I think we then go to the little nexus place where you can press a button to turn all your monoliths into they're not ascended monoliths, but they're the level 100 monoliths. And in order to do that, so we've so far unlocked the level 85 monolith, the level 75, 66, 58. I think we go from Reign of Dragons, if we beat it, we can go to here and unlock all of these. And these are all level 90. And then when we've finished each of these level 90s, we can press the button that's here, and it will turn all of these into whatever they're called. I don't think it's enhanced monoliths or ascended monoliths, but it's awesome, badass, cool endgame monoliths. So every one of these will then become level 100 instead of whatever it is now. And it will be harder, but we will get more rewards. And that's when the real endgame starts. We haven't really started then. So that's when we'll get there. So we need to beat the boss of this before we can even start to see these. And I think from these echoes, and how easy they are, famous last words, these level 90 echoes shouldn't be difficult up until the bosses. The bosses, I think, will be quite challenging, but the actual echoes to get the bosses unlocked shouldn't be difficult at all. So if we go to the Monolith of Fate and have a look at where we are, inside each of those monoliths, what you get is a whole load of these echoes. And they span out from a central point, so mine is here, and you follow them, and each one of these echoes drops different things. So up here we've got ones that drop experience, gold, runes, arena keys. We've got these little beacons, and the beacons will show us all the various monolith echoes around them. So for example, I just did this beacon here and it showed me all of these. And then we also have these final little echo nodes, which is where you fight the Shade of Oribus at the end here, and each of them tells me what they do. This one gives me +5 corruption, and this one gives me +4 corruption. I think the +5 is because it is ever so slightly further away in a straight line from the starting node, based on links or something. Not quite sure on that. So if we beat this one here, our corruption will go from 4 up to 9. So 4 corruption is currently giving us 2% more health and damage on all enemies, but we get slightly better drops. And the Shade of Oribus itself drops unique items. It's got its own loot table, and one of those items can only be dropped above corruption 200. So corruption 200 at level 100 monoliths is where the game really starts to kick in. You can start to unlock some really cool items from all of the various monolith bosses, which you can farm. I could also, if I wanted to, and this answered my question from a week or so ago, I was wondering, if I add corruption by defeating a Shade of Oribus boss, and suddenly that added corruption is just enough that I find the monoliths all too hard to do, what can I do about it? What if I've just nerfed the game for myself and I can't even play now properly without somehow getting my build up? If you take one of these Shade of Oribus nodes really close to the central node, and I believe there might always be at least one, this will reduce the corruption. So if I go up a corruption level and go, whoa, that's hit a break point and I'm not functioning now, I can take it down again for a bit until I'm ready. What I want from this is I want an XP echo. because it should give me enough XP to level up. And we've got one right here. So we're going to jump into this. It's a small map. We will run it. It will take a few minutes. There'll be an objective. It will gain us some stability, but more importantly, we'll get a reward for that. And the reward will be... oh, look, it's fight waves of enemies as well. So it's much like being back in the arena, actually. But the reward for doing this is experience, which will help us out very much. And that is an experience gained on Kill Shrine. So even better, we will destroy everything. Oh no, I thought it was a fight waves of enemies, but it isn't. We have to kill enough enemies to locate the Wengari matriarch and kill her. I don't like this biome because it's got these little changes in level and they interrupt my charge, so I can't charge all the way across the map. Every time it goes slightly up or down, my charge comes to an end. Right, we found the Wengari matriarch. She's up here. We've killed enough stuff already. And we don't really need to worry about this, other than if we kill a few more of these, we will summon a few more swords, so that when we get to the Wengari matriarch, we can immediately start piling damage on her instead of having to slowly tick up the shards. And death is yours. Right. Oh, see, I can't charge over here because it changes level. I can now charge it all the way through. Yeah, clip the edge. Oh, it's frustrating. I like my movement ability where I can just cover half the map in 2 seconds. Right, that's a Wengari Shaman. Oh, we've got a one-shot chest over here. I'm not going to be missing out on that. It just had some runes and glyphs and stuff in, but well worth getting. Right, let's see how far we can get towards the matriarch. It doesn't really matter if we drag all this stuff with us, because we're now at a level where I think we can take it quite reliably. You know, if it all comes with us, we'll just kill more stuff all at once. Here's a matriarch. Let's get everything on the matriarch. Can't fool around here. You know, we're getting shot by half the level. And so there is a pretty good chance. Why is that button not working? Something is definitely not particularly happy in the servers today, but that is level 78 right there. And that's before we've claimed the XP for finishing this Echo. So we grab this. This will give us some XP. That's as high as we're going to get tonight, I think. I think getting to 79 is relatively unlikely unless we keep grinding these monolith echoes time and time and time again. We've got another passive point. I was putting them in Smelter's Might. I also put one in here though, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to put one back in here because then I can start scaling my elemental resist whilst holding a shield by 3% per point, which will let me cap these resists up here, because my lightning is only 68 and they cap at 75, so I do need to be scaling those a little bit better. Poison's bad for me. Physical is actually capped. It's only at 57%, but if I get hit, the moment I get hit once, I gain 40% physical res for 5. I think it's 4 seconds. So as long as I'm being hit at least once every 4 seconds, which even in boss fights I am, I'm permanently way overcapped on physical. I'm overcapped on necrotic, I'm overcapped on void, I'm overcapped on fire, I'm close on cold, and I'm not far off on lightning, but we can get there with a few points in the perk tree. Let's just try our armour now. So if we go... Right, we've lost... There we go. Control is back. It's definitely having a little bit of a wobbler tonight. So armour is 4458, I know you guys can't see this, 5076, 5693 with those two things triggered, which was a 69% physical damage reduction. I think 7.2 to 7.4 appears to be about armour cap. So here we go. Yeah, exactly. As long as I'm being hit and they keep hitting me, I am immune. This was the whole point of this build when I made it, and I'm not sure this is sensible. But every time I get hit, I gain 40% physical resistance when hit, and 60% increased armour. So I wanted to make this build to be sword and shield rather than one big two-handed weapon. Run in and get hit, because I'm good at getting hit. It means, you know, I don't dodge everything I should. I'm not a perfect player. But when I get hit, I want to do more damage. Or at least I want to be able to take more damage. So that was my plan. It was stack armor as much as I can, stack this one particular node that gives me loads of armor and loads of physical resist when hit, and then actually go out and try and get hit. I've also got this one up here, which when I get hit I've got a 3% chance to cast Ring of Shields, which gives me those 3 healing shields around me. So sometimes you'll see me with, instead of 5 shields, I'll have like 10 or 15 of them, which is pretty good. Right, we're 78. I think we can go and challenge the dragon. So for those of you that haven't seen this before and haven't seen the channel, the way the echoes work is you have 3 quest echoes, and they're here. Every time you do one of these little echoes, you gain a tiny bit of stability. So for example, if we do this one, it tells us on the right hand side down here, the rewards are piles of gold, 23 timeline stability, and a potential up to 48 bonus stability, which is scales based on how many monsters you kill. So typically we might get 40 stability for doing this one run. And at certain stability thresholds, we will unlock these quests. Now at the moment, your stability goes up to a maximum of 900, and we're nearly capped on this because I was running these without doing the boss because the boss kept killing me. So we unlocked the first 2 and we've completed them, they're ticked off. But we haven't finished the Rotting Horde, which is a giant zombie dragon. And he's a beast and can easily one-shot slap me. And I've tried him a few times and I lost a bit of stability, and then I've done a few of these echoes and I've gone back up to max again. But until we beat him, we don't get through. So I think we're going to have a few goes at him. We're not going to spend all night smashing our face against him, because that would be counterproductive and not particularly entertaining. Well, it depends whether you like watching me die or not. But we're going to see if we can actually do him some damage. I think the best I've done is take him to about half health. But when he's got these attacks that if you miss one dodge of a telegraphed attack, you just get deleted, you can get him down to 50% health relatively quickly. I do quite good damage, but you've got to get one slip up in all of that and you're done, which is great. It feels like quite a good fight. I'm sure there are mechanics to this fight that I'm missing. I die too quickly in it to learn it at the moment. And I'm sure there are people out there who've done it who are looking at me going, you just don't stand in this, and when he does the circle thing you go out of it first and then back into it, and I'm sort of trying to learn those. But at the moment I'm dying to it, and I'm dying to it whilst trying to apply damage and trying to learn it. But that's part of the fun, and if we can beat this tonight before 1.0 hits, it's another boss that we know we can get past. So we're going to do a couple of goes at the dragon. I think we lose about 20 to 30 stability if we mess it up, and this I think was at about 550 or something, so we can afford to lose quite a few times before the stability gets so low that we don't have access to the dragon quest, at which point we'll just run another couple of these and we'll be fine. Right, those are all crafting items apart from that one idol, which is not for me. Right, dragon, I'm ready for you. So, in this timeline, the dragons overcame the gods, usurped their role in history. Eventually, they get a taste of necrotic power and create their own reign of undead. So guess what? Zombie dragon. We have to slay the Emperor of Corpses. And the Emperor of Corpses is a beast. This is the kind of level where my I'm immune to getting hit as long as I get hit mantra doesn't work, because the first time they hit me I die. It doesn't protect me enough from the second shot. I don't think level 78 is going to have made a significant breakwater difference in our survivability, but we're going to try it. Hello, zombie dragon. Right, we want to go out of here. Oh, sugar. That wasn't nice. I've never had him follow me before whilst doing that attack, while channeling that circle attack. Don't stand in that fire. That fire breath is pretty much guaranteed kill. I can take him punching me, it's other things I can't take. I don't know what those purple things... Whoa! Yeah, that's a kill, that's a kill. I'm dead. Right, stand out of that one, stand in this one. Oh, oops. Yep. Whoop. Hit the health pot. Okay, this is the longest I've survived in quite a while, but we are nowhere near killing him yet. Although if we can get him to half health on this first attempt, I'll be happy. Whoa! Run, get out of there. And then get back in there. Right, we've got to save our move ability just to be able to charge out of that area of attack. If we can do that, I think we've got a chance. But as soon as he does that circle on the ground, we've got to dodge the breath weapon. And as soon as he does this circle, we've got to be out of it, but not too far out of it, because then we need to get back in this one. Get the shields up, get the thing down. This is really tricky. There's a lot of micromanagement. I really like this fight. I think it's particularly cool. Although the level of concentration required is slightly beyond me. We are doing okay though. Right, get out there, stay right on the edge of it, get back in again, hit the shields again. Ooh, get the shields up quicker than that. Oh shit, I'm in trouble. The other thing is, our main attack heals us for quite a lot, but we need to be able to actually do it without dying for it to do that. Right, don't be tempted to charge. Whoa, shit, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Whoa, god, that was close. Heal. Get in. Get in. Oh god, the damage has stepped right up. I'm gonna die. Healing potion. Fight. Don't stand in the fire breath. Ah, we're so close. I've lost my main dude. Oh, look at all those shields though. That's going to heal me for so much. Just for a few seconds, we are going to have mega healing. Shit. No. Oh, back in, back in, back in. Damn it, that was so close. We had him to like 20%. You would think that killing blow is necrotic damage, so being immune to being dead is definitely an advantage. I'm not far off immune to being dead. I'm 84% immune to death, but 84% is not enough. It's not enough. That wasn't bad. We're going to have a couple more goes at that when I have had a small rest and a beer, because I reckon we can do that. You can't afford to drop any of those dodges in and out of the circle, and you have to be careful not to dodge back into the circle as he's about to do his fire breath. You have to dodge in at an angle and then go round him so he doesn't fire breath you. It's a great fight. I think this game is... It gives you bosses that are challenging, that you have to learn, but I've never got particularly frustrated on any of them. I haven't ever felt that I don't know why I'm dying. It's just that I know I need to go back and try harder next time. The other thing we can do in most cases is we can have a look at our gear and we can try and craft something ever so slightly better. Now at the moment we've pretty much crafted all this gear to within an inch of its life. So any gear has forging potential, and that is the potential for you to craft it and improve the stats on it. So my shield's at 0 forging potential, can't do anything else with that, as is my necklace. My weapon's at 0, my chest piece is at 1 forging potential, and if I have a look at that, I think that's because we have actually got another shard of mace now. We didn't have enough shards to do this last time, so let's do that, and we'll upgrade that. So that won't hurt. That's finished it off, but our damage has now jumped up from 8,700 and something to 9,200. That little bit of damage might just make the difference if we can do that same run again in how quickly we kill that dragon. There's no forging potential left in that ring, there's no forging potential in that ring, there's none in the belt, there's 30 in the shoes. But I believe that's because these shoes are... They've got tier 4 physical resist, tier 5 strength, tier 5 attunement, tier 6 armour. They came with tier 6 armour on them. That's the the purple affix on there. Tier 6 is a higher roll than you can craft. You can't craft above tier 5. So I could improve the physical resist, and given that I've got the space and it's quite cheap, I might as well. So my base physical resistance before I get hit, which is quite important if I haven't been hit in 4 seconds, is now capped. Actually, I'm capped on physical resistance before I get hit, so that might just make a difference. I'm wondering if that dragon... It says necrotic damage, it doesn't say necrotic and poison. I wonder if it's doing a little bit of poison in there, because we are weak to poison. We're like 20% under cap on poison damage. But we can't craft that anymore. The gloves have 0 forging potential, and that has 0 forging potential. So we've crafted all of this gear to within an inch of its life. But we have actually found a sneaky extra bit of damage in all of that, and a tiny sneaky little bit of extra resist. So we're going to go back in and we're going to reattempt the dragon. But I'm going to take first a quick 2-minute bio break, and I will be right back, and we will make this dragon pay. Hopefully see you guys on the other side in 2 minutes time. Enjoy some nice and pleasant music. That's not very inspirational music. Right, let's crush a dragon! I am back. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm going to roll my shoulders. We're going to get ready. Let's resummon the dude. Let's pre-prep the shields before we go in. Actually, no. Right, here we go. We're doing this. We lost a tiny bit more stability. We don't care. Dragon time. Oh shit, out of the... Oh, I'm going to get hit by it this time. Yep, that's fine, that's fine. I can afford to get hit by it once. Must remember not to charge into him, because it doesn't give me the ability to charge back out of him again. Dodge the breath. Oh, ooh, I'm rusty. Get out. Stay out. Go back in. Get health potions. Why are you not picking them up? Oh, maybe I don't need them. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm at max still. Well, now I'm not at max. Let's grab another one. Right, keep an eye out on the fire breath and the circle of doom around him. That's the fire breath. Get out of the circle of doom. Stay just outside the circle of doom. Get in the circle of doom. Right, slap, slap, slappity slap. Get out of the... Ooh, fire breath got me. Right, hit as many targets as we can with that. Right, we haven't quite lost the Forge Guard. That was nice, we nearly lost it. Right, get out of the ring. Stay out of the ring. Get in the ring. Don't stand in front of the fire breath. Ooh, those hit hard. Here comes fire breath. Am I in it? I'm in the fire breath. Damn it. I thought I was out of the fire breath. I thought I was under him. Ah, that's okay. We're getting there. Okie dokie. We're not losing to a dragon. Don't rush the dragon, because he will do this thing and then you charge out, then you don't get hit, then you run back in, then you hit those, then you hit all of these, and then you're ready to do chippy chippy. Right, that's it. Now we're out of the way. More shields. Slow process, don't let him breathe on you. That first bit of the breath always seems to get me. Right, get out of here. Stay out of here, get back in. Shields up. Don't tread in too many of these overlapping circles. We can afford to tank a few of them, but not if he's going to breathe on us like that, we can't. Shields on. I love this boss. I hated this boss the other day. I was finding it way too tricky because I just didn't understand why we were dying. I get it now. Now it's just a case of learning the fight, not dying to stupid stuff. The only problem is when I'm standing under him, I can't see if I'm dying, and I can't see if I'm getting hit by that fire breath. And that's what killed me last time, was I thought I was safe from it, and then I just suddenly realised I died. Oh, no. I used my charge then. Oh my god! Right, don't go in front of him, because that spirit breath will do you in one go. Whew! We'll just breathe a little bit here. The other thing is we could do some things to gain us a few more. We could do some more arena runs. If we do some more 90 arena runs, we're at 78 now. Chances are we'll be able to finish the level 90 arena. It might just get us to 79. That will step our damage up. The other thing with the arena runs is we're going to find gear in them. We're not going to find particularly good gear. We're not find any gear fighting the dragon. If we go here, I'm just having a quick look. So we've got axes there. At the moment I'm really using maces. But any body armour would be good. So we could start coming out this way. That's all cash. That's XP. We can do some XP nodes. What we could do is we could grab another arena key and then hit this beacon here. And that will show us what's going on around here. So what time are we on? Yeah, we've got plenty of time. We're going to stream for at least another hour, hour and a half. So let's try and get one more level. Yeah, that was absolutely completely full health. And normally I can normally get away with a little sliver left. And it just utterly one-shot burned me. I'm not immune to crits. I can stack things up to make me immune to crits, and it might be that that was a critical hit and it was enough. If I could make myself immune to crits, either through a very special, unique item, or by just scaling invulnerability to crits, I could get to a point where that couldn't happen, and at least I've got a chance to take a healing potion. Whereas that time it was, as you say, full health straight to dead. There are going to be some graphical improvements in 1.0. Good to see you, Coffin Spirit. Is this something you're considering? Is it a game you're already currently playing? If so, what class are you playing? How far have you got? What are your plans for 1.0? But yeah, I believe 11th Hour Games have said there will be some graphical tweaks, and I think Zizaran showed on his channel some examples of that. The rumours are or certainly conversations I'd had with other streamers in their streams, the belief is that obviously it's going to be in the same engine, so there shouldn't be a massive increase to the required specs, but it will be being slightly tweaked. I mean, this game is now, even though it goes to launch on Wednesday, the game's been out in early access for like 4 or 5 years, and it's much better looking now than it was when I first played it. But there are still some rough edges. I think some of the transitions between zones and the loading screens and the portals you click on are they still feel very beta-ish, very beta-ish. You click, nothing happens for a little bit, you're not sure if you've clicked it, then a loading screen comes up. I'm hoping there might be some of those transitions a little bit tweaked. There was some talk of some additions to the campaign, additional cutscenes, that kind of thing. I don't know how much of that's going to happen, although I think we get patch notes today or tomorrow. The patch notes are apparently enormous, but there are supposed to be some graphical improvements. And there was a comparison video I saw of 2 different areas, and the graphical improvements looked amazing. Now, I'm not running this on particularly good graphical settings. You see, for me, the graphics and the animations really don't. Cause I always find this with ARPGs. Other than Last Epoch, my favourite action RPG in the world is Grim Dawn. Grim Dawn, if you were to look at it in a sort of weirdly objective way, it is utterly ugly even compared to this, because it's a particular art style, but it's also a much older game. But when you're playing Grim Dawn, I never stop and think, oh, that's ugly. I think, I just chopped off his arm and I did this, and this ability was cool. And there are going to be I think there are likely to be some changes to perhaps some skill animations. I know they talked about doing cosmetics for certain skills, so changing the way skills appear, so there will be a focus on that. But I think, Grim Dawn in some sections is quite an ugly game, and if you ever zoom in on your character, graphically speaking, they don't hold up to a modern game like Diablo 4, but I think Grim Dawn looks, or certainly feels, better than D4 does. D4 is prettier in terms of the resolutions and the textures and so on, but Grim Dawn plays better, and as long as it plays well and it's fluid and I'm enjoying the combat, I don't notice the graphics anyway. But my streaming setup here is the worst example of what this game looks like. If you've got a half decent gaming rig, you can crank this right up and it will look much better than this. I'm running it on low settings so that my computer doesn't boil while I'm trying to stream at the same time and stutter, because I haven't got a bleeding edge rig. It's about 6 years old now and it does well, but when I'm trying to keep the bandwidth down and the heat in the thing down and so on, I'm just running it on pretty ugly settings so that I can stream. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the animations in Grim Dawn are fantastic, and I think some of the armor sets and the cosmetics are really good as well. Despite its age, I'm really looking forward to the Grim Dawn expansion this year. I will be streaming the hell out of that. It looks so much fun, and the thing I love about Grim Dawn is, as soon as they add another class in, another mastery in, it adds another sort of 36 potential build options, because you can pair that up with all the other ones that are already in the game. So it's going to be a good year for Grim Dawn this year. So I'm going to hit Last Epoch very hard when it comes out, and we're going to be doing a lot of Grim Dawn on this channel as we build up to the launch of the new expansion. I'm currently working on my first self-designed Grim Dawn build, which is an acid retaliation. Is it a Sentinel? I can't remember. I might be distracted by the names in here. Depends completely on what you're doing for work. I'm alright, but it can be very difficult, I would imagine. Right, what were we going to do? We were going to check out, did we get anything good there? That's still missing the base melee crit strike multiplier. So the one that we've got is a god roll crit strike multiplier, and crit strike multiplier is the extra additional damage you do when you score a crit, which is really important for this build because the third strike of my Rive skill, the big AoE skill, is a guaranteed 100% crit every time because of the way we've built it in the skill tree. So the more crit strike multiplier we can stack, the more damage we are going to do. So I don't think we're going to be able to beat that really, although that's got good physical damage. I don't want crit strike chance though, because that's already fixed for me. Another arena key, and that's a staff. What does that do? Time rot is not something we're worrying about in this build. Idols, that tab. So you can go in there, you can go in there, you can go in there. You go there. We've got so many arena keys now. You can tell I've been enjoying doing the arena and trying to get more keys for it, and B, I've not been spending enough of them. Right, I mean, see, look at that. That's got us not really very much at all. But we were going to go and do the beacon, weren't we? So let's do the beacon. After which, we have an option on either a unique or a set sword or dagger, which is a lot of variables. It could be a dagger, which is not useful to us. It could be a set piece we're not looking for, or it could be an uninteresting unique, but we will try. Ah man, that's bad to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it is different for all people in all walks of life. I am very lucky in that I am able to get by and spend my time doing frivolous things like streaming my deaths and failed attempts for people on Twitch. But, you know, it's bad if things are very difficult. You see, I think I originally played this like 2 years ago, for quite a while. I got up to about level 56, I think, on a Spellblade, and just didn't really come back, and I played D4 for a bit, and then I found Grim Dawn and just never looked back. That was the only ARPG I played for a very long time because Grim Dawn is just excellent. But I decided to come back about a month ago. You know, there was a lot of hype around 1.0 and I wanted to see if it had changed. I found the game quite slow and a bit disappointing the first time I played it, and it's a very, very different game now. I just think they've got so many of the quality of life things right. It plays how I like an ARPG to play. You know, everybody has their own preferred style of how an action RPG should feel, and what itemization and loot should feel like, and what bosses should be like, and so on. But to me, it's pretty much the right balance of everything. Like in the last 4 weeks, I have played all the way through the campaign on 2 characters. I've played halfway through the campaign on 5 more characters, and I've got into the end game with 2 of those characters, and I haven't got bored once. They're all different builds, they all play differently. I think the campaign doesn't feel like a roadblock the way that a lot of campaigns do in action RPGs, where you do it once and it's great and you just never want to touch it again. Not the case here. I just think the campaign is like the icing on the cake of go to a new zone, kill things, make your abilities better, which is how it should feel. And the crafting's amazing. The in-game loot filter is the best I've ever played. It takes what Grim Dawn does relatively well and turns it into something genuinely fun. And the new factions that are coming out in 1.0 for both trade and solo self-found characters. So the way that factions are going to work for trade in the new version is you will join one of two factions, either the trade faction, in which case you will be able to trade items. If you join the Circle of Fortune, you will not be able to trade items, but you will get a load of buffs to the items you're looking for and finding them. So you will be able to generate what are called prophecies, which you do by basically stargazing using a telescope, and you can modify those prophecies and buy them with sort of the currency generated by that faction, and use those prophecies to give you an increased chance of grabbing a certain type of loot, or an opportunity to do something that will gain you an axe, a sword, a whatever it is you're looking for. So if you want to play solo, you absolutely can, and if you want to play Trade League, you absolutely can, and you can do different things on different characters. Oh man, Coffin, thank you so much for the follow. Hugely appreciate that, mate. I am pushing towards 50 follows, so we can get to affiliate, but also so we can just do some more fun things with the community, have some VIPs and what have you. But I'm really pleased, mate. It's good to have you here. I'm really great. I've been doing this now for 10 days, and we've had loads of follows, loads of new people, loads of good chat. I think the ARPG community in general is great. Whether you're a Last Epoch player, whether you're a PoE player, whether you're a D4 lover, which, you know, I was at launch. I've sort of faded off D4, but I was never the D4 hate crew that came out initially. I got my money's worth out of it. I put 600 hours into D4. I enjoyed the game initially. I liked the campaign. I loved Season 1. I particularly liked Season 2. I haven't tried Season 3. I found Grim Dawn, and that to me was more appealing. I like Path of Exile. I want to like it more. I find Path of Exile just too inaccessible now. I mean, I've on and off I've played it for about 5 years. But every time I come back, I've missed a league or two. There's a couple of mechanics I don't get. And the thing that really gets me is it's challenging for new people because respecking is so difficult in Path of Exile early doors. I know late game it becomes more accessible, but for a new player it's so easy to brick your character completely and ruin your build if you don't follow someone's build guide. And as much as I tend to take people's build guides historically and then sort of modify them to my own fit at the end of the game, in PoE I feel if I'm not absolutely following somebody's build guide point for point, my build just isn't going to be able to play the game, not be the most competitive, not be at the best top tier, but like I'm not going to be able to progress content by doing my own builds, and that feeling's one of real frustration. This build here is completely my own. I went to Last Epoch Tools, I made the build, it didn't work at all, it was absolute trash when we started playing it, and over the last 10 days, every night, we've taken out the skills that didn't work and we've put in new ones. I have got a blue filter on these glasses. It's for nighttime driving. It's there's ice lenses, so they've got an anti-glare reflection thing on the lenses for nighttime driving, because, you know, I'm an old man now, so it helps to be able to see at night into oncoming headlights. I completely agree with you. I am so excited for PoE 2, and I will be playing that at launch. PoE 2, I think, is the chance to get in on the ground floor. I think what Grinding Gear Games did with Path of Exile is amazing, and I want to love it more, but it just melts my brain to the point where I stop playing and end up looking at other people's websites just to try and figure out what I'm doing. PoE 2 is going to be great. I mean, this year we've got PoE 2, we've got Last Epoch, we've got a new Grim Dawn expansion. It's a good year for action RPGs. I'm so excited. So let's see what that beacon has revealed. So we've got our swords, we've got another beacon up here, we've got idols, axes. I'd like some maces, although we're unlikely to find a much better mace than the one we've got. Let's have a look at these swords, let's see if we can find some good swords. If nothing else, without really trying, we're going to cap stability again. I don't think we're going to get any levels up though. The level ups have really slowed down because we're ever so slightly higher now, and we're going to have to crush an awful lot of these to make any chance of a level. Right, all the swords attack him, please. See, to me, the fluidity of the combat in this, and I don't know if it's just this build suits my playstyle, which a lot of builds don't suit my playstyle in other ARPGs, and then it feels a bit clunky. But whatever it is about this particular build, it does exactly what I hoped it would when I designed it on paper. And when we started, if you go back to the first stream that we did, I had no idea how any of these skills worked. The five skills I was using initially were 5 skills I'd never used before. I changed that a bit later on and went back to using Rive, which I have used on my Paladin build, because A, I really like it, and B, it has a node that has a chance to spawn swords, which we're using as most of our damage are these spawned yellow fire swords that are just flying around the place. But whatever it is, it translated really well from the theory on page to what we've got here, and it's just so much fun. That's gonna hit hard. Wow, there's a lot of stuff on screen right now. Like, this is a greater concentration of particularly nasty big enemies than we normally see. However, nothing is the match for my power. Okay, when I said there was no way we were going to level up again, that actually changes if you just get nothing but bosses all the time. I mean, we are supposed to be getting a unique or set sword, but I really didn't think they were going to throw a challenge like this at us. Not one that we can't defeat. It's hardly zombie dragon territory, but it's much more challenging than I was anticipating from this Echo. Right, eat swords. Eat swords, you eat swords. I can just send all of my minions after him and just ignore him now, and they will chop him down. Fantastic. Well, we made a pretty decent chunk of XP there. Let's see if we get a unique or a set sword or dagger. It's a dagger, of course it is. Ooh. Quite a funky one though. What's that? It's like a necro dagger. 44% chance to cast Lightning Blast on crit with Frost Claw. Frost Claw is a mage spell? Yeah, it is. Spell damage. Lightning Blast cast using Frost Claw's got a 1% crit strike chance. That is brilliant. I like that a lot. That's the kind of item I would see and make a build around. Yeah, the profane flesh. You have to kill all the profane fleshes. They're the big dudes that throw rocks everywhere. I quite like those. I'm a fan of profane flesh myself. Yeah, Titan Quest 2 as well, you're right. It's going to be one of those years, which is great. It is one of my favourite genres of game. I've got a number of favourite games that are just not action RPGs, but if I want to put something on and just sit and play something and have some fun, it's a game like this where I can put a lot of thought and detail into my build, I can hunt for cool items, I can get my little dopamine hits when cool stuff drops, but I can also just zone out with a bit of Netflix on or something and just constantly chew through enemies and level up, and it's got everything I need in it. Don't care about that for void skills because I'm not using them. We do very much care about this sexy as all hell dagger, which we're going to keep. I'm not initially going to be playing my legacy characters, which are the ones that sort of stick on the old legacy server when the new season starts, but I'm not throwing away any uniques. If nothing else, we can have a play crafting with them and see how crafting legendaries works. Right, better movement speed, better fire resist, better armour, but we lose the 44% armour bonus, which is such a big deal. Attunement and strength over crappy vit and strength. Yeah, okay. I think what we'll do is we'll just shatter that. attack speed and physical damage, but we're going to be missing the crit strike multiplier. We've got physical damage and attack speed already on that weapon, but they're good buffs to have. I'm not having it on though. And then we've got a katana, which I always want to do katanas, and they're lower damage but they're quicker attack speed. Again, a good potential crit strike multiplier, but I don't want crit strike chance on it. Interestingly, that better speed with 15% melee attack speed, we're 9183. If I swap that sword over, you see we go to 3742. If it had dropped to about 5,000 or 6,000, I might have worried about crafting that katana and turning it into something better, but I don't think we're going to craft it back up to where the other one is. I don't care about that in any way, shape or form. And let's buy those. Right, we made a bit more level progress, but looking at what we've got, we're about 50 minutes from the end of the stream. We haven't opened this yet. A few more glyphs. So what we could do, let's have a look at our keys. If we look at our keys, we've got a lot of Lightless Arbor keys. So we could go back and try and slap Tree Boy and try and learn that heart fight mechanic, which is way more punishing than the dragon, because the dragon, we go in and we die, and as long as we've got a lot of stability, we just go straight back in and we try him again. I love the gambling dopamine hits. I am all about that every few minutes or every few hours gratification of, oh my god, where is it? And then what I particularly like about it in this game is you don't ID it to see if it's good. You pick it up and look at it, and if it's not good, you go, could I craft this to make it good? You have more influence over that. So Grim Dawn has its monster infrequence, where you can target farm specific weapons or items that do specific things and give specific bonuses, and then you hope for a good affix, a good suffix, a good prefix, good suffix, and then you try and sort of build the best thing that you can, then you put the best modifiers on it and the best components on it, and your augments. In something like D4, you would take the ones you don't like, you'd put specific sort of legendary properties on them and turn them into orange things, and then you'd re-roll the affixes, the suffixes that you don't like. In this, you've got much more control, but it isn't a guarantee. I did a little bit of crafting in the two levels between level 75 when we ended the stream on Friday and 77 when we started the stream today. I crafted 4 or 5 items, all of which I bricked, because crafting itself is gambling. So you put your item in the forge, you've got a finite amount of forging potential to add stats to that item, and in a lot of cases they've got at least 1 or 2 prefixes or suffixes you don't want, so you're using your glyphs of chaos to gamble that into a different prefix or suffix, hoping to get a better one or a perfect one. And if that works, then you're thankful for that, but then you try and get something else up, and you hope for a few crits in there along with your glyphs of hope, so that you don't lose forging potential but you do gain more than one level. And when you get an almost perfect item, and the best one I've crafted is this, right? And this is, I mean, that's a tier 19 item, and I've crafted above tier 19 before, but starting with a purple base item. So this was an alright yellow, but it has God Roll crit strike multiplier on it. It's a very slow hit rate, and that's bad because I gain mana on hit, I gain health on hit, I gain a number of things that trigger off the basic use of my basic skill. So the faster my attack speed, the better my healing and sustainability, the better my mana base is, and the better my crit procs are. But the flat damage of this version is twice as much as any other weapon I've had, because that crit strike multiplier is so high. On top of that, we got it with melee attack speed, which we rolled up to its maximum craftable level of tier 5, and we got a mid-range 23%. We rolled physical damage all the way up to its max craftable tier 5, and we got another mid-range 23 out of 26%. And we got health on hit, which is not the exact suffix I would have liked, but it's better than what was on there before. And a good chance to shred armour on hit. It's only up to tier 4, but it's the maximum level of tier 4. It's almost tier 5. It's 122% out of a possible 122%. And armour shred is basically the enemies take more damage if you put stacks of armour shred on them. So this particular weapon, every time I hit with it, I'm gaining health, I'm making the enemies take more damage, I'm hitting relatively quickly for a mace because it's got 23% bonus attack speed, and it does a massive amount of bonus damage. So it's a total beast. Yeah, that's it. That's the thing, is number of mods is very much a game specific thing, and it depends on what the game is balanced around. So in this case, you get more than one. Oh, of course I've shifted that. Hang on a sec. Let me get that back. You get more than one inherent affix on a number of items, not on all of them. So this one has 59 melee damage, so it's got melee damage and melee crit strike multiplier. They will be inherent affixes, they'll always be on that type of weapon, that Doomstar. The melee damage will always be 59, the attack rate will always be 0.98, but the melee critical strike multiplier rolls in a range, and that range is 50 to 90. With this shield, we've got 2 inherents. With this helmet, we've got 3 inherents. We've got 225 armour, which doesn't have a range. We've got increased cooldown recovery speed, which is between 5 and 10%, so this is not the best helmet. And we've got void resistance between 12 and 20, or 10 and 25%. We're at 12, so not the best there. But these helmets, these augury helms, will always have 225 armour, increased cooldown recovery speed, and void resist. Always before you put 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes. So those implicits, they make a massive difference. And so the way I really like what this game does is with the loot filter. So for example, if I go like my one-handed swords, I've filtered my one-handed swords now down to 4 swords I'm vaguely interested in. So I've got long swords, which has just got a plus 50 melee damage implicit affix. That's the only thing you'll get on it. At plus 2 prefixes, 2 suffixes. The katana does a lot less melee damage, although I believe the attack rate is faster, but it's got a crit strike multiplier, which works very well for my build. And I've put the Dawnblade in there as well, because I suspect those 2 balance out, but you don't see attack speed on these. Then I've got 53 different affixes that I'm interested in. And I want that weapon, one of those 4 base items, in fact 3 base items if you look, there's only 3 ticked, it's saying 4 because it's a bit of a bug in the way I put it together. 53 different affixes that I'm vaguely interested in. I want at least 2 of those on each item. And actually what I'm going to do for endgame, and the reason I haven't done it yet is because I'm going to use this same loot filter the moment I start again at level 1. I'm just going to change the base items that I want to see. But I could also say I could put level on there, I think. No, it's not level. Is it advanced? Yeah, advanced options. So the tier of the individual affixes or the tier of the total affixes. So what I could say is I want total tiers more than 4. So I need it to have at least 2 of those affixes. But if it only has 2 of the 53 off my list and they're at tier 1, that's going to be a blue item, so it's going to have low forging potential, and it's only got 2 affixes, and they're only level 1, so they're going to take a lot of crafting up. If I said make it tier 6, if I rolled a blue with 2 of those affixes on, they would each have to be at least level 3 on average, so like a 1 and a 4, or a 3 and a 3, or, sorry, 2 and a 4, 3 and a 3. So even if it hasn't got a huge amount of forging potential, I don't have a long way to go to forge at least 2 of those affixes into something I want. So it really lets you fiddle around with the way you do your loot filters, and they seem really complicated at the start, but I find it, once I've played with it, I find it really good. I don't think I've made mine in the most efficient way, but I like that I've made it myself because I really understand how the loot filter works. I'm certainly going to be having a blast with this. I'm really, really looking forward to the option between the trade faction and the Circle of Fortune. Are you going to be playing at 1.0, Coffin? Because the question I've been asking everybody who's going to be playing at 1.0 when they come into the channel is, are you going trade faction or are you going Circle of Fortune? And I've had a ton of different answers, and they've all been interesting, and everyone's got their own different reason, and that's what I absolutely love about it, because you know, the work that 11th Hour Games did, the polling that they did, suggested that it was about a 50-50 split between the way people choose to play, which kind of surprised me. I thought more people were fond of trade factions than they were of solo self-found in different games, but I think a lot of that comes from the fact that a lot of streamers go trade faction because they want to be able to get cool stuff and make amazing builds to make content, and so the people that you see play these games play trade. But I think a lot of people like me are typically solo self-found players. Yeah, see, I've always been solo self-found, and I wanted to go trade this time because I think the way they've done trade is quite interesting. But I think the way they've done the mechanics for solo self-found in this, the Circle of Fortune, where you can, you know, buy and equip different filters, different lenses to give you different activity types to get your prophecies in, and the prophecies are a bit like what's-her-face, the prophecy lady you used to get in Path of Exile, which I always quite liked. That's a key for every single dungeon and the arena all in one box. That's a good little find there. I'm definitely going solo self-found. So if you purchase the game at €30, then like you've got it already. Might as well be worth just seeing what 1.0 is like. That's what I love about it. I was watching something, and I don't know, it was on stream or it was on a YouTube video. It was, you know, somebody I followed for a while, probably Aaron Action RPG, because that's where I got a lot of my Grim Dawn stuff when I started playing Grim Dawn. And he was playing a lot of Last Epoch, and he was doing some Last Epoch stuff. And I was watching it thinking, I've played this game, where do I know this game from? And then I realised I bought it and played it years ago, hadn't played it since. So I was just like, well, yeah, I'll give it a go then, given that I already own it. And I absolutely fell back in love with it, because I zoned out of it when I was playing it 2 years ago. It was good, but I don't think the content was there. I didn't think the game was quite where it should be, but so it's the same price now. If you already bought it, if you bought the beta access, you don't have to buy it again. You've got it now, you own it forever. It's still €30, but as long as you've got a copy on your Steam account, then you've got access. You don't need to buy it again. There are some like launch packs, which are like additional content and stuff. As I understand it from watching the 11th Hour Games stream the other day, all of those packs will remain after launch. There's only one item in the game which is exclusive to pre-orders, and that is the Golden Guppy pet, which I can show you now. If I go in here, I can put on my Golden Guppy, the Chronoworm, and that is what it looks like. You get that for pre-ordering, which if you already own the game and you've played it before, you will have that Golden Guppy, I think. You don't have to buy the special edition or anything to get that. Every version gets that. Everything else you can buy after launch if you want, in terms of the Ultimate Edition or whatever, which I think is like another €30 and gives you some in-game currency and some other cosmetics and that kind of stuff. You can, even if you really want, you can double equip it and get 2 golden guppies, one over each shoulder. And why wouldn't you? I don't have these on by default, not because I don't like showing off my early adopter status, but because I keep thinking they're enemies and trying to attack them. So yeah, the price hasn't changed. The price won't change at launch, and the price won't go down either. They've said that it won't go on sale at launch or following launch. And the chances are, given the size the launch of Last Epoch is going to be with some of the big content creators who are making stuff for it, I would be surprised if we see a Last Epoch sale this year. We might get one next year, but it's not going to be below $30 next year. But if you already own it, if you've been playing in the beta before, you own it, you're in, you will have this golden guppy. If you want, you can pay another $30 or €30 and you will get, I can tell you what you'll get actually. Where is the shop? No shop. So the pre-order editions are the Ultimate Edition, which gives you the golden guppy, which I've just shown you, which I think everybody gets for pre-order anyway. You get the digital soundtracks sometime after launch. You get 100 Epoch points for other cosmetics. And then after launch, we will get an adolescent chronoworm, which I think is this one. We will get an adult chronoworm, which is this one. We'll get a Twilight Fox, which is this. We will get our own portal, which looks like this. And then we will get 2 armor sets, 2 cosmetic armor sets, one of which is the Fallen Ronin, which is the evil samurai looking dude, and one of which is the Temporal Guardian, which actually could work quite well for me at launch. That'd be pretty cool. You also get another portal cosmetic, which is that's the Celestial Way, and the other one is the Firefly's Refuge, which is this big tree one. It's an amazing price. I mean, I think this already, without any of the updates, thank you, love, already feels like a full launch title pretty much. I mean, the game as it stands in its current state is well worth €30. When you think I paid more than twice that for D4 when it came out, I think this game has more than the content that D4 has already. I think it's a better game. I love D4, but I think this is a better game for me, because I think there's more build variety, there's more customization, there's less easy optimization, and I think it's only going to get bigger and better post-launch. There's also the Deluxe Edition, which is not quite as big. You get this armor set, the Golden Guppy, this one, and this portal. I picked up the Ultimate Edition because it's been 2 or 3 years since I bought the game anyway. So essentially I hadn't paid anything, and I've played 130 or 40 hours in the last month. I was like, that's worth 30 quid of my time to get some of these extra content and, you know, support the game as it goes. So yeah, I think it's in a very, very good place, the game. We're going to try and crush this dragon again in a minute, but before we do, I'm going to take one last bio break because we need to breathe and prep, and then we're going to do some dragon crushing. So I will back with you all in 2 minutes time. Stick with the channel and I'll see you in 2. this one's funky. Dragon killing time, dragon killing time, dragon killing time. Let's kill some dragons! I said that last time I came back from a break, and we did not kill the dragon. Yeah, I would agree with you there, Coffin. I think I'm quite happy with the way that they've done this, in that, alright, the guppy is a microtransaction that will go away forever because it's the pre-order bonus for having played the game before launch. Other than that guppy, no other part of those packs is going away. You know, you can go to the store, and they've said that after launch, that Ultimate Edition will still be available. You won't get the Golden Guppy pre-order cosmetic pet, because that is a pre-order pet. But you will still get the Ultimate Edition with everything else in it. That will be available at launch, it will be available after launch. They've not announced any plans to withdraw any of that. So that's all going to be there. And then they'll, you know, obviously expand the range of cosmetics they've got. So at the moment there are no weapons, skill visual effects, footstep effects or portrait cosmetics in the game, because we haven't hit launch yet. But there will be. I've seen so many people complaining that the game is terrible because it doesn't have skill effects, cosmetics like PoE does. Why? The game hasn't launched yet. PoE has been out for 10 years. They will have, otherwise they wouldn't have put the category in the store. You know, they're obviously anticipating doing it. It's probably going to be a big thing for launch and just beyond. So yeah, we've got some really fun stuff coming this year, I think, for Last Epoch. What is this? One-handed axe, the Beast King. 13% attack speed on an already very fast attack axe, with plus 32 flat melee physical damage and minion health. 8% less damage taken if your minions have killed recently. Works for me, this is a minion build. Minions take 25% damage less if you've killed recently. I don't believe they're supporter packs in the true sense. They're pre-order editions, these. There are some supporter packs, sorry. Yes, the supporter packs are these. The Eternal Traveller, which gives you a back piece, a bird pet and a portal. The Eternal Templar, which gives you a back piece, a bird pet and a portal. The Eternal Vanquisher, same thing. I quite like this one. It's like a big Grim Reaper who opens the thing. These are increasingly expensive. I've not bought any of these. This is the really expensive one at like 40 quid. So probably about the same. It's probably about €35 with the big wing backpack and so on. I believe that these are also going to stick around after launch. I don't believe these are going anywhere. So they're supporter packs in that you are supporting the game by buying them, and you will get cosmetics for it, but there's nothing in there other than cosmetics. But on the stream that 11th Hour Games did the other night, the impression I got was, other than the Golden Guppy, which is a pre-order cosmetic, nothing else is going away at launch. Everything else will still be available once the game has launched. And that makes sense, because if you've got people who only discover the game after it blows up on Wednesday, and they find it next week and go, oh, that's pretty cool, I want to get in, I can't see 11th Hour Games saying, well, we don't want those people's $39.99 to buy a cosmetic that in no way changes the content quality or job we have to do in our game. They're going to want everyone to buy these. So yeah. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I'm not aware of any microtransactions that have been taken away. But no, I don't think anything that I'm aware of anyway has been taken away from the game in the past, but I'm not an authority on that because I haven't really used the microtransaction shop. You know, I played this game for a couple of years, I stopped playing it, a few weeks ago I came back, and I've only bought two things since I came back. I bought another copy of the game, which I gave to a friend of mine, and I bought the, whatever it is, Ultimate Edition for myself, just to sort of support the developers, because I was really enjoying the game and I felt I was getting my money's worth. But I'm not aware of anything they've ever brought out as a cosmetic or a supporter pack or a pre-order edition that has gone away, and they're not planning on getting rid of any of it in the short term either. Right, we've got about half an hour, 40 minutes of stream, depending on how I feel. We've done a few more echoes, so we've capped stability again. We'd lost about 100 stability. We're right back up at 900 again, because all we had to do was do a few echoes. Especially with the Corruption 4, it gives us a bit more stability anyway. They really are. I think what they're doing as developers is absolutely brilliant. I mean, those people who sort of don't know 11th Hour Games, the line is that essentially they were a group of action RPG enthusiasts who got together over Reddit and said, why don't we make the best action RPG game we can make? And you can tell that in this game. I'm not saying it's perfect, but you have people who are fans of the genre and are therefore making the game that they want to play, and they have really clever solutions for common problems in action RPGs. And they've also got the wherewithal to work things out. I mean, if you look at the internet's response to their decision of how to run trade versus solo self-found items, nobody has cracked that code before. There's two ways to do it, one of which is you make it unbalanced so that people who trade just have access to more powerful items because they can buy stuff that other people find, so they're essentially accessing a bigger pool of loot than people who play on their own. Or you have two completely different economies and you scale them for those two different types of people. But how do you balance that when you can, if you want, trade items? It's a really, really tricky thing that I hadn't appreciated how tricky it was until 11th Hour Games sort of explained what they were doing with it. And once they did it, a ton of big Path of Exile streamers, big even D4 streamers, but big PoE streamers were like, this is the kind of thing that we should all have been doing in the first place. It's like, that's exactly the point. Like, PoE doesn't have that. Yeah. So the big PoE streamers were all like, this is so cool. And I believe, don't get me wrong, but I think that PoE 2 is changing the way that it does trade to reflect some of what LE is doing. I'm not saying they're cloning it, but I only saw some kind of YouTube splash page clickbait stuff. I didn't watch it because it was from a creator who I was like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to like their take on it. But they've evolved the conversation because the people in that room, and I think this was something that somebody said that I really liked, was it's obvious that the people in that room are clever, passionate about what they're doing, and are bloody good at problem solving, because they've come up with a solution that nobody has thought of since the evolution of online ARPGs. Nobody's quite got the handle on this, and suddenly they've come up with a solution that's so elegant, everyone's like, of course that's how we should do it. It's not quite about increased loot though, is it? It's about the separate. It's also slightly different in PoE because the trade. The thing I really like about trade in Last Epoch, if you go trade faction, which most people hate because they're looking at it from a sort of trade in an action RPG perspective. Most people hate it. You can trade an item once. So you can go on the marketplace, someone can list an item, you can find it and go, I want that item, I will buy it. That item is now yours. You can't then sell that item ever again. It becomes unsellable. It can only ever be traded once. And a lot of people don't like it because they're like, well, now that item's taken out of the economy, it's not like there's going to be a whole stack of those. If you ever played World of Warcraft and you were into trading, you didn't play World of Warcraft, you played the auction house. You logged on every day, or you had an app that did it for you, but you logged on, you bought everything on there, you relisted it at slightly higher prices, you sold stuff that undercut people that were selling things you were selling. It was a mini game in and of itself that took you away from actually playing the game, and that's something that the devs at LE, I think, have worked really hard to avoid with a load of things, but particularly the idea that you do anything other than go out and slap mobs, gain levels, do cool stuff. So the thing that took me the longest time to get my head around when I started playing this was I would kill everything, loot everything, portal back to town, sell it all, make no gold because none of the items were worth anything, get back in my portal, it would take me back to the zone, all the stuff I dropped on the ground had despawned, and all the monsters had come back. And initially I was like, I don't like this, it's rubbish. Like in Diablo, if I kill all the monsters in an area, they stay dead, and when I come back I can pick up all the items I've missed if my bags are full. But that's a deliberate design choice by the developers of the game to say we don't want you spending 20 minutes out of every hour going back to town, selling stuff, sorting out your gear, and then going back to the fight. You don't make gold by selling items to vendors. You just don't. You know, even unique items are worth about 500, but it's trash. At higher levels, you kill mobs, you will make gold much, much quicker. Run echoes with gold on them, you'll make gold much, much quicker than you ever could farming items off the ground. What they want is for you to pick up the stuff that is actually useful for you in your build, so you can craft it, equip it, and move on. If you're not going to equip it, or keep it in your bags later for another alternative character, don't bother picking it up, because it isn't worth your time. That's great, it keeps you playing the game, not going back to town and trading, not examining your items all the time, and that's why the loot filter's so good. So that a huge loot explosion can happen, but you don't have to pick every individual bit up and then look at it later to see if it's any good. You just crack on and carry on doing what you're doing. I don't know about PvP Coffin. I've not seen anything explicitly. I know that there are ladders in the arena for competitive PvE comparisons, and that's sort of something, but I've not seen any PvP discussion. It doesn't mean there isn't any, but it's not an aspect of ARPGs that has particularly interested me, although I actually really enjoyed Diablo 4 PvP. I got into that quite a lot. Back in the pre-Season 1 days, before it was... like Season 2 was all barbarians with Melted Heart of Selig, and I never got mine to drop. But yeah, I've quite enjoyed PvP in ARPGs, but I've not heard any mention of it in Last Epoch. Okay, we're going to take a breath. We're going to do 2 or 3 dragon runs. And I say 2 or 3 because I'm still not 100% confident we're going to do it in those 2 or 3, but let's see what we get. We're going to do one at a time. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take my guppies with me this time, and if I've got my guppies, whoop! Yeah, fuck that up. Fuck that up badly. I think the guppies are definitely the way to go for the future. Whoa. Alright, get out there. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, come on. My button just unpressed halfway through. I really think I need to pick up a new control pad. I've got an offhand Razer like mini keyboard control pad, which I find really useful for action RPGs because it has the 5 buttons I really need pressed right near it. But this one keeps letting go of buttons for me. This is bad. This is very bad. Right, he's dropping a ton of health potions, so we're just going to risk popping health potions more often. I've been trying to save health potions for later, but like he's dropping so many of them. And I can dash through them like that. So I think if we're taking damage, we will stop trying to heal using non-health potions because we need to heal using health potions. And that might be the one saving grace, although there's 2 health potions there I can't pick up because they're just spawned in places I can't get to. I'm boned, I'm boned. Come on, heal, 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 heal. No, I've got to stop using that dash ability. I've really got to stop using it because it's going to be off cooldown now for this circle. I might just survive here. Yeah, we've got it. Oh my god, oh no! What happened there? He suddenly translocated like 6 feet across after I'd got out of the ring and killed me. I can't tell if that's intentional or a bug. That's really annoying. I had that, I just got out of it, and then he just went "Bleh," and shifted all the way across the screen without the guy animating. That's irritating as hell. Okay, deep breath. We're going back in. Not taking that. Right, before we do, let's re-summon everything. Do not dash in. Do not get hit by the AoE or the other ring on the way out. Do not get hit by the fire breath because it's freaking lethal, although those shields will definitely heal you. Right, I need to keep an eye out for health potions and not mess up my chance. That really annoys me. If I'm standing in front of him, the fire breath catches me, but if I try and go around the side of him, he moves so that the fire breath always catches me. It doesn't feel like I can sidestep that fire breath at all. It's really because you stand under his head, so it's really hard to see where you are in relation to his body. I love the mechanics of this fight, but I don't like the visual distraction of it all. I find it quite difficult to... No, well, there he did it again! That stupid little jump translocation he does. I think that's deliberate, but that's only happened to me a couple of times. Get out of the way of that fire breath, god damn. See, I think there's elements of this fight that we've worked against and we've tried to beat, and I like. I think we've worked quite productively to learn the telegraph moves and get better at it. But like that, I just feel there's aspects of this fight where we have no chance in hell to beat it. It's just random. If he does that, you're screwed. And that I don't like. That I don't think is skill-based. I think that's just, it's random. It's RNG. We'll kill you, or we won't. But like now, I've got no potions. So there's 1 here, 2 here, thank God. 3 here if I get this one. Don't translocate. Thank you. Stand out of the way of his breath, but I can't because of where he's facing. Oh dear. Right, stay out of the way of him. I mean, that's the other thing, is I could just stay completely out of his way and then I'd dodge the breath a bit better, but I'm using a melee character, so is that practical? Hit him. Chop everything. I mean, we're back up to full health potions, so we can afford one mistake as long as he doesn't one-shot us like he did last time. Whoa. Don't jump! Oh my god. Ah! We're dead, we're dead! We're out of health pots and everything. Like, this is just fucking... Ah, can't do it. Sorry, language is bad. So the AoE came out at that time and just didn't go away, so I've got nothing to avoid it. But that's a completely different set of telegraphed attacks than what he did last time. But it covers the whole... So maybe it's a DPS check? Maybe the area gets bigger every time he does it, so if I don't kill him fast enough, it becomes impossible to dodge. But I couldn't get out of that area, it covered the whole arena. Oh man, I'm not happy with that. Like, I should be able to do this, because I can walk the individual echoes in my sleep. My damage is so big that some of the bosses in there take less than 30 seconds, maybe less than 10 seconds to kill. Now the boss at the end should take much longer. It should be really difficult. But it shouldn't enrage so fast that it is impossible to survive, that my DPS when taking the individual echoes on doesn't scale. I think I'm missing something in that fight, because A, it's not the same each time. Well, it's not like he gets to an enrage point and the mechanics change. It's just sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes he randomly translocates, sometimes he doesn't. When he does, you're dead. So it's, you know, it's roll of a dice, fingers crossed. Oh no, sorry, you got 2 translocates in a row. We didn't want you to have this one. It doesn't feel like I'm making iterative progress in beating that boss. it feels like I'm playing against RNG until I get a version of that boss that bugs out and I get to get the easy loops time and time again. I think we've hit the point where I'm fed up doing that boss. We're not doing it tonight. Let's do something else just before we go. Let's do 2 more echoes. We might as well grab some gold and go and see what's up here. We could try and do the Shade of Oribus again. That might be fun. I did it once and was very pleased with myself. I will definitely die on my second Shade of Oribus attempt. There is no doubt about it, because A, I'll be cocky, and B, it was close last time and we were very pleased with ourselves, but we did get it done, and I've died to Shade of Oribus before this, so I think we will probably die again. But, you know, if not, it'll up the corruption. And why not up the corruption before we fight the dragon again? Because that'll make it easier. I don't care. We're not going to get to fight the dragon again, because after the stream ends, that is the last time I will be playing Last Epoch until launch, at which point I'm going to enter the cycle. And once I've entered the cycle, we're going to be doing a brand new character right from level 1 again. So the next time we get to that dragon, we will see if my ability to itemise and optimise this build and the random drops I've got along the way, which may be very different and may have been crafted very differently, have changed the way that it plays. Now, I had a lot more crafting materials to experiment with this time because this account is several years old, and although I hadn't played a lot, I had played a number of characters, several of them to sort of 55 plus, by the time I leveled this character starting about 10 days ago. So we're going to be lacking in materials for quite a long time, I think. But I'm also interested to see, once 1.0 hits and we've got launch version of the game and everything, what the economy is like in terms of gold, in terms of shards. You know, is it going to be very, very similar? What's it going to feel like to go from absolutely nothing to achievable crafting options? The other thing that I've not done the whole time I've been levelling up particularly is utilise the shatter runes, the runes of shattering, to break stuff down and gain the runes I need. I've only started doing that very, very recently, when I found a couple of core things I was missing shards for. Ooh, here we go. Right, now let's have some fun. I'm going to stand in all the goo and I'm going to go blah until the world is mine. We're going to conquer the echo and we're going to feel good about fighting bosses again for 2 seconds. Ta-da-da-da-da-da, gold. We're over 600,000 gold, which is the most gold I've ever had, which is nice. What are these boots? Crappy armour, don't really care. That's a chalice. Chance to bleed and bleed duration's pretty good. We were looking at this, weren't we? With all of its bonus melee attack damage. So this gives us 9183. If we put that on, yeah, see, it's still a massive drop of damage. Mainly because if you're wielding a mace, my armour's giving me tier 5, almost god roll tier 5, plus 24 flat melee physical damage if I'm wielding a mace. And the fact that this mace has very high tier 5 melee attack speed absolutely evens it all out. Thank you so much, Coffin, for joining us. Thank you for, I think you followed, didn't you? You did. Thank you for the follow. Really look forward to chatting to you soon, and look forward to launch. Hopefully speak to you very soon, mate. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for joining. You know, I think we've had a great stream tonight. It's been good to see some familiar faces. It's been good to see a couple of new people. We've got a few new follows out of it, which is great. We're very close. I think we're probably 24 now out of 25, so nearly halfway to starting to push affiliate status. We have made one level. We're 78 now, yeah. We did the arena, but we didn't get to the boss this time. We did the dragon several times. We got him really close once, and ever since then he seems to have been a totally different boss. We seem to be really struggling with mechanics that weren't there before. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Coffin. Well, I'll be here every Monday and Friday, and probably a few days in between shortly after launch, playing Last Epoch. Up for a chat if you're around. Cardjack, always good to have you on board, buddy. If you're around later on, I might be around for a little bit of PS5 gaming. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking down at my chat now instead of looking at the window where you are. Great to have all you guys on board. I will be streaming again Friday, if not before. Won't be tomorrow because the servers are down. Won't be Wednesday because I'll be role playing. Might see if I can sneak a cheeky one in on Thursday, immediately post launch, first day of 1.0 and all that. But I'll certainly be on Friday for a bit of a stream. So I will catch you guys then. Take care of yourselves, my friends. Goose out.